Yet again you find me heading deep into the Asian countryside and jungle, hunting ancient temples, often abandoned and forgotten. The road is littered with landmines, the jungle festooned with venomous snakes. But the ancient sites you and I will visit are simply breathtaking.
Hello and welcome to World's Forgotten Temples, yet again with myself, Mr. B, as you find me clambering over these absolutely monolithic building blocks. They are huge, but then again, that's of no surprise when one considers where it is I am walking. I am in Preah, Kompong, Svay, which is an ancient city nigh on 1,000 years old, that is lost to the jungle. And it's been lost to the jungle for an awful long time. Built in the 11th century, they believe, because there's so little information about this site, and then abandoned, they approximate, in the 14th century. Now, the reason for this city is unknown, because all records have been lost. Now, one French scholar has a theory, and what he says is that this place was so powerful that it was potentially one of the very central trading hubs for the entire Khmer Empire. And if we look behind me, we will see just one of the temples here. There are loads. There are gigantic statues. There are huge temples. And all that must have come from money. So it's not so much of a leap of the French imagination or anyone else's to say that this could have been a massive trading hub. And he goes further and says that potentially it was autonomous. It was its own little state within the kingdom. And that makes it completely unique. And as I say, nobody comes here. Now, I've travelled on the most murderous roads for 2 hours. That's just the murderous bit. There was plenty of tarmac before that, just to come here. And my spine has been pounded 1,000 times going through pothole, and the potholes, by the way, are not just, you know, a hole like you may think of. They're big enough to consume a whole bike. You could lay my bike, a big trials bike, in the hole and you wouldn't see it. That's the kind of road I'm talking about. It is simply horrendous. But my goodness, what lays at the end of that dusty road is this ancient city. Now, just to give you an idea, that is the road in, just there. So it gives you a clearer clue as to the sort of environment we're in. Completely surrounded by the jungle, and as you now know, the only way to here is through the most horrendous road I know of in Cambodia. And bear in mind, I've travelled 50,000 kilometres in my journey cataloguing such temples as this. So let's now move forward and go into the actual temple itself. And there's quite the delight to be found at the core of this one. Look at it. These huge walls flanking left and right, and here a large hole in the ground that was probably once for a statue. So as you'd walk in, you would see a mighty statue, and that statue probably would have been of Buddha. Now, if a temple gives you a hint of the old Indiana Jones, then this could be the one, because it is all tight squeezes and clambering. And as we get through, it is here that we see the face of Buddha smiling benevolently down at us. Here are those faces, and you can see there's a shimmering on the camera, and that is purely due to the damage done by that horrendous road. And if that is not enough, I also have another camera, another phone as backup, which has also been damaged, as well as one of my microphones. So I have taken an incredible knock on equipment for this trip. But look at it. Isn't it absolutely stunning? This is a road certainly less trodden. And as we go through to the back here, we can see that this site really does need some help. All within is just filled by the walls just tumbling downwards. It's such a shame, but this site doesn't get any recognition. It has had some wooden props put in, as we could see, you know, as we walk through, but that is very sort of remedial work. There's not an awful lot else. Now, I have to be very careful when I'm walking, because apart from my equipment, I've also pulled the tendons in my right foot in a recent accident. When I say recent, it was 3 months ago, and it's still giving me pain. But that's the price I pay for being one of the few people who comes to sites like this. A bit of an odd angle for a shot, this, you know, this tree being sort of where it is. But there's a reason. This tree is hiding the sun. Around me is not only an ancient city, it is also a mystery as to why this place is even here. And it does actually have scholars and very learned men arguing about it. But you know what? I don't really much care. What I care about is the crunch of these beautiful autumn leaves underfoot and being able to clamber around like a small child in something that even my childish imagination could not conceive. I mean, just have a look at it. Behind you is this mighty, mighty wall. This place is absolutely tremendous. Now, when I just fell forward there onto this tree, that is why I busted my foot, because I rather foolishly do that kind of thing, throw my body towards stuff. And when you're out here and you're all alone, those childish thoughts and being in this fantastic wonderland can turn exceedingly serious. Because if you fall out here, well, not so much here because there is locals that drive past, but when I'm out in the countryside, it could quite literally be fatal. But there's still another aspect to this site I've not mentioned, and that is landmines. The Khmer Rouge used to camp here, and even now you are warned very clearly, do not stray off the paths, otherwise, boom, that could be the last steps you ever take. Now, I very much hope you've enjoyed this little adventure with me. It certainly is a magnificent sight. And if by chance you could help me build up this library of ancient and often forgotten temples, then I would be truly grateful. Now, how you do that is very simple. It's www.patreon.com/temples. It's been a fantastic trip, and as always, I wish you absolutely nothing but the very best. You be sure to take good care.